It happened inside this house in Pasadena, near Houston in the early 1970s. The man who lived here then, Dean Corll, murdered dozens of teenage boys who had been lured to his house with the promise of beer and marijuana. Corll was dubbed the Candyman because he once owned a candy store. Corll's two accomplices, Elmer Wayne Henley and David Owen Brooks, would get paid for finding the young victims and bringing them to Corll, where they would be sexually assaulted, tortured, and killed. Eventually, Henley turned on Corll, killed him during an argument, then confessed to police about the murders. Henley led police to the bodies of teenagers who Corll buried on the beach between Galveston and Port Arthur. As the search for victims was underway, Henley talked to reporters.
I never said there were 30 people. I said 24. The name's Junior, not Elmer Wayne Henley. Well, what? Get your pictures.
Corll had also buried his victims at his boat shed in Pasadena and in a national forest in East Texas. In all, at least 28 teenage boys and young men were killed between 1970 and 1973. Henley and Brooks were convicted of murder in 1974. Brooks died of COVID in prison. Henley is being considered for parole this week.
It started quietly, the way the worst stories always do. In the early 1970s in Houston, Texas, there was a soft-spoken man who ran a candy company. His name was Dean Corll. He handed out free sweets to neighborhood kids, let them hang around his apartment, joked with them, bought them sodas. Parents thought he was kind. The kids called him the Candyman. No one knew that behind those doors, something monstrous lived. Teenage boys began disappearing from Houston, 13, 14, 15. Police said they were runaways. Families were told not to worry, but the truth was far darker. Dean Corll was hunting them. Inside his apartment was a plywood board bolted to the wall, later called the torture rack. Boys were handcuffed to it, blindfolded, tied. Corll tortured them for hours, sometimes days, before killing them and stuffing their bodies into plastic. Then he buried them. Some were placed in a boat shed. Some were dumped along Galveston beaches. Some were buried so deeply that their families would never find them, and Corll wasn't working alone. The boys who helped him, one of them was David Brooks, a quiet boy Corll had known since childhood. Corll bought him gifts, gave him money, gave him attention. Then he asked for something in return. Brooks began bringing boys to Corll's apartment. Friends, strangers, kids from school. Sometimes Brooks helped hold them down. Sometimes he dug the graves, and when the screaming started, he stayed. Later came Elmer Wayne Henley Jr.,